Ever stood in an empty room and felt you weren't alone? Psychic investigator Andy Matthews has.
There's something that's happened in the past in this area.
And he's not alone.
There's something going on here. I can sense them all around me.
I was born on Halloween, just before midnight, and I am the seventh daughter of a seventh daughter.
Something's down there.
An 800-year-old castle in a once thriving port. Times have moved on, but according to those who live here now, the spirits of a once desolate past still remain.
It was right in my ear and it got loud, the room like echoed with it. It was really loud.
The kind of results we were looking for is hard evidence.
What the hell?
There's something banging around somewhere.
Somebody must.
They believe. The question is, do you? Ardglass Castle dominates one of the oldest settlements in County Down. A major port that experienced both prosperity and plague in the 19th century, it's quiet now, but not entirely undisturbed. Exactly the kind of place that psychic investigator Andy Matthews finds himself drawn to.
Ardglass itself is as quiet as the grave. I mean, the port behind me is over 1,000 years old, and it evokes a feeling of superstition because it's a fishing village mixed with mystery and perhaps even hauntings. I'm used to kind of going to one location where hauntings and ghosts have been reported, but with this place, it's an entire town. You've got over 6 castles here. So it's a kind of place really I could spend probably a month in, never mind a few days.
To learn more about the castle and the port, Andy has arranged to meet locals George Rice, Sean Johnson and Ronan Fitzsimons in the village pub.
Ronan, your family's been here for 4 generations. You must know a lot about the history.
Well, I have a few bits and pieces about it. It was a big fishing port, of course, at that time. And even this ledger, which dates back to my grandfather, will indicate the number of vessels they had in one day in the port. And like you're talking about 80, 90.
So this port really would have been one of the most influential,
This
wouldn't
port
it?
was here before Belfast.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, the fact that it was tidal was the importance. Yeah.
They could get in at any state,
Yeah.
high or low
Yeah.
water. They
Yeah.
could still get in.
I take it there must have been a lot of tragedies over the years.
Well, we've had
Also many
tragedies in our time, but I don't know whether George remembers of the lifeboats that were brought in after the Princess Victoria disaster. And there were bodies in them. And they were lifted ashore at the crane that sat down beside the toilets. And the 2 boats sat there for quite a period. Until the end, the fishermen insisted that they be removed, because any time they were going back to the boats at night, they swore they could hear things from them. They weren't happy about it anyhow, so the boats had to be taken away and burnt.
A fishing village like this, so must have been many fishermen that have lost their lives over the years, and that's borne out really with the tradition of ghosts and the belief in the afterlife, because it helps people get on. There's closure there if they believe that their loved ones have gone on to a better place, and that's really comforting. And I think in a village like this, that kind of tradition of ghosts and an everlasting life is something that's very, very prominent, I would imagine.
The founding father of modern Ardglass was William Ogilvie, a Scot whose marriage to the widow of the Earl of Kildare in the late 1700s made him the local landlord. Along with a new pier, he built houses for the workers and a family seat in the old Norman ruins down by the sea.
Ogilvie was the man really that formed what we see out there now.
Over a length of time, he modernised the port. At the same time, he went down to what is now the golf club, and it was a ruin, and he began modernising it, and he stayed there.
Do you think we're going to find anything down there?
Oh, I think it's well worth looking at, you know. There's certainly a lot of superstition about it. let's say that, to start you forward.
After 4 generations, the landlord's family were on the brink of bankruptcy and put the village up for sale. The castle ended up as the local golf club.
So, Sean, you were the club
steward, yes.
Club steward, that was it. So you were the last person, really, to live in Ardglass Castle. Now,
That's
it's
correct.
got a lot of ghostly stories attached to it. You must have 1 or 2, surely. So how many years did you live here, Sean?
13 in all.
Unlucky for some.
No, it was 13 great years.
Obviously, and on a windy night, the house would creak and groan. But what else have you heard? There must have been some kind of scary, kind of spooky sounds that you heard.
On that top floor above, where the sugar table is, we used to hear the balls when we were in the bar. You hear them click, click around the
And there's
around the
nobody
table.
up there?
And you used to go up. Nobody there.
Do you mind if we go up a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
No worries.
Cheers. So this is the haunted snooker room.
This is the sugar of us.
This is where the sounds were coming from.
This is the ball.
It was virtually a kind of a that you'd hear.
Just a...
My playing hasn't improved. Mm-hmm. What about footsteps? I mean, the clicking of the balls is one thing, but when people are playing snooker, you're going to hear a kind of a...
No, just the balls. Never heard any footsteps, no.
What was this room originally used for, do you know?
The people of the house slept up here.
But there's
probably
not...
children, maybe, if the young ones in the
Children?
family. Children, I would say,
Good. Yeah, it's probably the sort of thing a child would do. I know mine would. Click the balls around.
At the far end of the castle, the oldest part of the original building, Sean had another, rather more palpable experience.
A few years back I was taking a delivery of kegs in for Christmas, about 20 odd kegs, and this area is very dark out here, and I didn't know, I thought somebody watching me, you know, I just got a feeling. All of a sudden I felt my hand on my shoulder and I turned around and there's nobody there.
Was it a man's touch or a female touch?
It was a man's.
A man?
Man, I would say a man.
It was a firm
But
comment.
that's the first thing coming into my head. It was a female, you know.
At the same end of the castle, staff member Shirley Hannah had a similarly unnerving encounter.
This fire door's usually lying open the way it is now, and as I came down to close the door and put my hands out to pull the bar, and I could feel something on my shoulder beside my ear, and I start pulling the door in, and there was this noise. It was like somebody taking a breath. It was like
Really?
like that. Only it got quite loud. It wasn't particularly pleasant.
It couldn't have been the wind, could it? Because obviously with the door open, was
No.
there a wind blowing up? No,
No, it was right in my ear, and it got loud. The room like echoed with it. It was really loud. It wasn't particularly pleasant, but
Was it a male kind of voice? Sound?
I don't know. It was just that like that. I don't know. I have no explanation. I try to keep an open mind, but I have no explanation for that.
And did
so.
it scare you for a few days, or?
Not really. You just forget about it.
So
With working here, there's
Yeah.
wee things going on. And
Is
you
there?
Just, yeah. you
Like
just-
what? Please tell.
Well, another night locking up, I saw a woman in the ladies' locker room. Well, the image of a woman.
A ghost?
Yeah, a ghost.
Whereabouts is that? Can you show me?
It's just down these stairs here, just down in the main corridor.
This funny thing with this place, nobody seems to be afraid. When people experience something they don't understand, it can do two things. One, it can fascinate or it can scare. 90% of the time it will scare people, scare the wits out of somebody, because they don't understand what it is. They'll immediately reference films they've seen or books they've read of demons and unnatural spirits trying to do damage.
I come in here and put the light on like I'm doing now, and the lady's desk is here now, but it used to be over there. And as I came through the door, there was a form standing by the desk, and she had her back to me, and it was her hair I was taking in. She had really, really curly hair.
I've been doing this a long time, and I can honestly say I've never come across anything that wants to physically hurt, or some of them are angry. And these people have got to understand that, you know, the ghosts that inhabit their house or their business or wherever are people. They were once people living lives as we are. And you have to give them that respect. You have to give them that same respect as if they were still very much alive. Are there any disembodied spirits present within this room, please? It's a slow yes. Are you a male, sir? Are you a female? Are you a child? Are you a little boy? Each investigation is unique, whether it's a castle, a mansion house, a pub. It may have a similar ghost, you know, the obvious grey lady or a duke wandering the corridors, but they're all different. Each place has its own energy.
While Andy continues his dowsing, medium Marion Goodfellow is approaching the village.
Are you still here? No, gone.
Gone. That's amazing.
Strange. I expected to pick up the woman.
Yes.
Or at least the trace, the
Yeah,
energy trace, if she's been
something.
seen in here, but it would pick up a little boy.
There are stories of a child crying. I've heard a child crying in this corridor outside here.
This reminds me of my childhood. It's a beautiful fishing village. I grew up in Grimsby in Lincolnshire, which was also a fishing town. And all the associated sadness, as well as happiness and joyous times. There's been terrible times for places like this, as there was for me when I was a child. I feel already an affinity with the place.
As a psychic investigator, Andy aims to seek out spiritual energy.
Yeah, there's something there. Something, not just the door, but along this whole...
Marion, on the other hand, believes that same energy is drawn to her.
It's that back wall. Let's see. Try again. Bang. Yeah. Something's either happened here, or there's some kind of residual energy that remains here along this wall, but there's... I don't know what it is. There's something that's happened in the past in this area through this wall.
Lost. He's lost. So sad, I could cry. Naturally, if there's the energy of children are going to evoke all sorts of thoughts and feelings into me. I've lost my own children. So, you know, to have a child lost and wanting its mummy is, I think, for every mother on the planet, would be, you know, a heart-wrenching thing. But he can see me, and he thinks I can help him, and I must try. This is so sad, such a sad feeling.
Once inside the castle, Marion is immediately drawn to the same area where Andy detected an unusual presence earlier.
If there's going to be any sighting of paranormal activity, it's going to be right just here. It's like a whoosh of energy. It's definitely a male-dominated space. I know there's photographs on the wall of gentlemen, obviously of the golfing fraternity, but this gentleman's from before that time, definitely before that time. He's quite tall, quite elegant. Oftentimes when we come into places like this that have been used, I've got some energy. Stay back. This gentleman is definitely owner of all these surveys. He knows everything that's going on in this place.
After meeting up with Andy, they make their way to the snooker room at the very top of the castle.
What, you felt something on the stairs?
Yeah, I feel nursery. Like a nursery. I can hear children laughing. Totally different from the children outside. Absolutely totally different. I've got two little girls. These are not servants' children. These are children...
Household children.
Household children, these
Right.
are. I said two little girls, But then on seeing them together, this could well be a little lad. Definitely of the same family, they've got the same sort of... It's more like strawberry blonde hair.
The staff downstairs late at night have heard these balls, the snooker balls, being ricocheted around the table, as if someone's up there playing with them, like kids would just... In this investigation, I want the PSI guys to monitor sound, especially up in the snooker room. Also the cries of a baby. If we can capture that here on audio, that is going to be absolutely amazing, because it's very, very rare that you can come across or record that kind of evidence.
With so many different energies to consider, both inside and outside the castle walls, it remains to be seen what the paranormal study and investigation team will detect here. As night falls, they arrive to set up their equipment.
We generally hit the term ghost hunters. We don't feel it's descriptive of what the team actually do. What we do is actually we experiment, we investigate, we interview. So we come at the whole subject of the paranormal from a completely sceptical and yet open mind.
The people that work here have all reported different things. Some have reported feeling a hand on their shoulder, others have reported hearing a baby crying. We've got one of those again, so it's good if we get audio set up and obviously monitor that. We've got the snooker room, which is just through there, where the click of snooker balls have been heard late at night when nobody's been there. And Marion's been in there and she's sensed children, but I think it's worth setting up some controlled object tests in there, something that a child would play with. Because you just never know, you know, in the dead of night, once the house calms down, the staff have gone home, you know, things may come out to play. Okay.
In theory, you do look for the cases like this, you know, buildings with such history, and you come with a lot of high expectations, but actually, as a research team, we have actually had a lot of results in just simple 2 up, 2 down houses. So it is easy to get carried away coming to a location like this, but that's all part of the fun, I suppose.
We're going to hook this filter up to this CCTV camera, and there will be infrared light shining onto the table here, and if there's anything that is just beyond our vision capabilities, hopefully this will enhance it. I'm going to stick a condenser mic up here and monitor that from the base station, and if anything's picked up, we'll catch that as well. The activities that people are hearing in here would correspond with children's playing games. So I've got a few of my son's toys, little trains, and I'm going to set up a little toy train and see if a child will play with it.
Having wired the castle for sound and vision, all the team can do now is wait. Downstairs, Tony and Roddy of the PSI have set up a vigil in the cold store, where Sean claimed to have felt an unseen hand on his shoulder.
Maybe you want to tell us anything about yourself, or you want to tell us what job you done when you were alive, anything about your life.
What's wrong with it? Shit. What's wrong? Turn around. Oh, shoot what I got. What just happened? Hold on. What just happened to you there? Just like someone rubbed something across the back of my neck, and I had my head down looking into the camera, looking into the one that just straight across the back of my neck, just like that.
And it couldn't have been your jacket?
No.
So what did you feel when you did get that kind of touch? Was it male, female, soft, hard?
I don't know, it just felt like a touch.
Just a kind of, hey.
I wouldn't say male, female or anything, it was just a straight line across the back of the neck. And it did make me jump.
So it does seem that things are beginning to heat up a bit.
After Roddy's chilling encounter, the team decide to refocus their attention, moving cameras from the snooker room down to the ground floor.
Darren, see in the archway where you are, if you want to move over to the far side.
I would very much like to talk to...
But still curious about the ghostly echo of children that he and Marion sensed upstairs, Andy returned to the snooker table alone. Fortunately, he remembered to bring a small voice recorder.
On my own, started to play snooker and set this at the end of the table and press record. So I just walked around and being as natural as I could, which is the best way to get EVPs, I think, sometimes. And this is what I got. Listen very carefully, it's a whisper. Shit, it's another one. Do you hear it?
Yeah, absolutely. As children.
Do you hear it? Andy. And it's in an Irish accent, which is
amazing.
Extraordinary, because it goes with our belief.
Well, this is where I sense the children.
But it also goes with our belief that when we do pass over, it's not just our energy that goes, it's our personality and the accent and who you are goes with you.
Absolutely
because
amazing.
It's just there.
Andy wants the PSI team to apply some of their scientific skepticism to his recording.
Right, lads, I've got this in the snooker room. I know what it says. I'm not going to say what it says. Just see what you guys think. Wait. There it is again.
That's pretty.
Huh?
That's clear.
What do you think it says?
I can definitely hear Lynn. Yeah, you heard.
You're Andy.
You're Andy, you're picking.
There's definitely Andy. The first word is debatable.
But it's a Northern Ireland accent I'm picking up.
How long did it take you to get this?
4 minutes.
So we spend hours and hours on end.
Sorry, guys.
Doing everything that we can think of to try and capture.
The only thing I can think of, and this sounds a
little
little bit way off, is because when I walked into the snooker room, I introduced myself to the room. You know, my name's Andy. I'm going to play snooker.
The thing is he came in here, and this could have been anything. This could have said anything, you know. And the first thing we said was Andy. And here, look how solid that is compared to all the background noise. These are snooker balls being hit. But I mean, that's the most solid noise in the room. You know, that's something that was louder than the balls hitting each other.
Can I hear it then? Logically, I should have heard that.
Yeah. It's there. It's noise in the room, you know.
Yeah.
And it's obviously you're Andy.
You're Andy.
And the chances of us thinking that without knowing, there's no power of suggestion there, you know. No. It's 50 million words we could have thought that was.
After an eventful night, Marion is still perturbed by the unhappy children's presence she feels outside the castle walls. But her train of thought is disrupted by Andy, who's uncovered a dramatic piece of historical evidence.
I just got this book from Shirley. It casts an extraordinary light on what we found, the energy we found in the main entrance there by the archway.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go and have a read. It's a bit cold out here.
Calm down, calm down.
Oh, it's just through into this bit here. It's relevant to down here. When I first arrived, and I didn't tell you about this, within seconds of walking through that door, I got buzzed. I started to douse this area, nothing. That area, nothing. That area, nothing. Moved into this corner, bang, yes, 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 yes. I couldn't work out what it was. I couldn't pick up anything at that time.
Yeah.
But what it says here, during the summer of 1927, I got this from Shirley, this morning, when internal alterations were being carried out in Ardglass Castle, two terrible but fascinating events occurred. While work was being done to construct the former men's locker room, which was here,
right,
or is here, a secret room was uncovered. In one corner of this strange room was the figure of a tall man, standing with his back to the wall, knees bent, head dropped forward, dressed in a long green cloak. Now you picked up a tall man.
Oh my goodness.
Regrettably, when the fresh air rushed into the room, the clothes and hair fell into dust, so it must have been there a hell of a long time.
Yeah.
About the same time, at the other end of the building, 3 former fireplaces were being removed. In the old walls, a coffin was found, and this old oak casket, when opened, revealed the body of a young male child, with the skull still having red hair.
The strawberry blonde hair?
The strawberry blonde hair.
My God.
I think the word is bingo.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. I have to let spirit guide me where the energy wants to go. You know, come and show me is what I'm saying in my mind all the time. take me, where do you want me to go, where do you want me to go? And it led me through here. But the energy, so I'm so amazed that the energy just behind here is exactly where I saw the tall gentleman.
History may also offer an explanation for the melancholy spirits of children that Marion sensed outside the castle when she first arrived. In the 1830s, Britain and Ireland were ravaged by cholera. The plague, which killed hundreds of thousands across Europe, was carried along trade routes from India. Busy ports were the first and hardest hit. Inevitably, Ardglass was one of them. The infected were isolated in special camps, one of which was set up here outside the castle walls.
I arrived here and immediately on entering the car park I was surrounded by children. It's almost as if they waited for me to arrive. There's something going on here. I can sense them all around me. I knew these children were in trouble. There was something to do with these children. And we've asked the historian, and it's clarified it all for us. He's told us that at one time in history, there used to be a barn, and in the early 1800s, all the children that had cholera were brought there, left there, in a sort of isolation ward, away from the rest of the town. But you can imagine what a child would feel, brought to this place perhaps by its mother or its father, left there, and then never to see them again. I'm going to try and corral all the energies that I can together, and I'm going to ask that, you know, their parents, their loved ones, grandmothers, brothers, sisters, anyone can come forward and collect all those that want to go. I can't force anybody to do anything, but I'm hoping with a lot of motherly love and the energy that Andy and I can move them on. I ask the mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters living beyond in the realms of light to come forward. Can you see your mummy or your daddy? Hold on tight. Into the light. Into the light. I think they've gone.
Right.
Try it. With the dowsers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are there any children here? Gone. All right. Oh, let it go now. Let it go. Come on. Let it go. It's been poisoning if I don't.
Yeah, it has. It has. As soon as I arrived, their energy was all around me. And, you know, and you try and do the rest of the work. And this is what I was meant to come here to do.
This investigation has uniquely touched all of us, I think, while we've been here. Marion's laid more ghosts to rest than she's found. The boys themselves have all agreed for once on an EVP. There wasn't a great deal of debate. It was so clear, it was there. And for me personally, to hear my name being called out by what I believe was the ghost of a child has touched me. I feel quite honoured. So it's really been a fascinating, eye-opening time here in Ardglass.
With the results of their investigation seemingly vindicated by history, Marion and Andy believe they brought some peace to the ghosts of Ardglass. The question is, do you?
Another of Northern Ireland's greatest haunts next Tuesday at 10:40 when Andy Matthews and his team travel to Carrickfergus. Coming up, Darkness Revisited with Bruce Springsteen. Imagine next.